Hello, and thanks for tuning in. Just wanted to share with you a message that I had the opportunity to preach today at the funeral of a young man who died at the age of 30. I know it may sound kind of morbid to you or to some, but this is a message that is surrounding an idea or question that sometimes people often have, and that is, why do good people die and the bad people are still here, or why do people die at an early age, and why does God allow them to die at an early age? And the question seems to be infinite and just continues on. But I wanted to share an answer and a solution to perhaps your mystery or answer to your question that you may have surrounding this particular subject matter. And through this message today, I pray that it is able to answer those questions in a way that you'll be enlightened and you have understanding, and then you have the confidence in God that God has a perfect plan for this imperfect world. The message is in audio, and I pray that you will listen to it in its entirety. Give it a chance, give it a moment. Listen, and perhaps you can leave a comment or maybe a question. After you listen to it, I will respond, and prayerfully that I can respond in a way that will be of edification to your soul. God bless, and may God be with you.
In Psalms 139, it says, I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and that my soul knows very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret and skillfully wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. Your eyes saw my substance being yet unformed, and in your book they were all written, the days fashioned for me, when as yet there were none of them. Amen. We're going to listen to the reading and hearing of his word. If you don't mind, and if you get along with your neighbor, I just want you to turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, the countdown.
The countdown.
That's what this message is about today. The countdown. The countdown. I looked up and defined the word countdown, and it came back to me as I looked it up. It said a countdown is a sequence of backward counting to indicate the time remaining before an event is scheduled to occur. Countdown. The countdown, again, is a sequence of backward counting to indicate the time remaining before an event is scheduled to occur. We all are familiar with the concept. As we have transitioned from 2016 into 2017, many of us decided that we would stay up in the midnight hour and we would perform this very act. We have perhaps done it out of tradition year after year, and we will collectively say 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year is the celebration in which we all are part of, and we bring that in together, and then some eat black-eyed peas, and some do other things, eat pancakes, and some just go right on to sleep. But we're very familiar with the backward counting, because we anticipate that when we count backwards, something is getting ready to happen.
All right.
We count backwards when we're getting ready to launch a rocket into space. We count backwards when we are beginning to start a race. We count backwards when the cameras or the video recorders are beginning to roll. we're very familiar with the concept of counting backwards. We don't really know sometimes where we should start, but we know that whenever it started, we know how to count backwards. Some start at 20, some start at 10, some start at 5. But we know that when we reach that number 1, the very next thing that we've been looking for and anticipating is getting ready to happen. I don't know if you are aware of it or not, but there was a countdown that started on November the 27th of 1987 in the year of the Lord. On November the 27th, there was a countdown that began to move toward a special event and an occurrence in this day and time, which in fact we know it as July the 21st. Approximately 11,195 plus days are the actual days from November 27th of 1987 to July 21st of 2018. There perhaps are some numbers to some days to be numbered, while Nicholas Tolliver, as we now know it, as to that being the mark of his days, when he was in the womb. But I don't know how many days were there, but I can count from the day in which we saw him, and especially his mother saw him, and then his father saw him and others, until we all have somewhere along the way saw him until the very last day. 11,195 days. The problem and challenge to that is that we weren't keeping count. We did not know that there was such a calendar that existed to numerate the days in which one would live. But I came by here as God's paperboy to let you know that everybody that's in the room and everyone who has entered this earth, you and I, are what my dad may call borrowed time. All of us, our days are numbered. We don't know how many days we actually have. We thought and think that we have a whole bunch of days.
All right.
Whole bunch of days, meaning days is going into the upper hundreds of thousands of days. Because if it's left up to me, my days will end when I'm about 95.
All right.
Years of age. That's my plan, that's my dream, that's my aspiration, that's my goal. I don't know what else I would do at 96, so 95 is pretty good for me. Perhaps you have your own ideology, your own thought, your own dream as to how many days you will participate in the activities on this earth. But I'm here to tell you that all of us have a certain dream or plan. But all of us also, I want you to know, our days are numbered. And we're not starting to see how many days I actually can live. It is actually a life that is on countdown. Every day that you and I live is a day remaining, or a day that's indicating that this is the number of days that's remaining for the great scheduled event. The Bible says in Hebrews chapter 10 that it is appointed unto man once to die, and then after that the judgment. You see, that's one appointment that you will never be late for. That's one appointment that you can never avoid. That is one appointment that you can never circumnavigate or try to reschedule. You can't even make a call and say, I'm running behind. It is appointed. It is appointed unto man once to die, and then after that, the judgment. You see, we are all born with a certain shelf life. I had a young man in my church just a few weeks back, and we went through an illustration, And I don't have the time to really get into all of it, but in essence, I was just talking to him about us changing each other's lives. And he was a younger fella, about the age of 10 or 11, and I asked him, would this be a good idea? He said, no, it won't be a good idea. I said, well, why? Don't you want to be me? He said, no, you are expiring. I said, okay. He has just declared that my shelf life is coming to an end. He recognized, and I recognize that, again, our days are numbered. Nicholas had 11,195 days. Now, if he had known that that was all of the days that he had, would he have done something different? Perhaps so, because all of us, if we can look in time, we will all make different decisions, and we would do different things, or we would not do certain things, knowing that we have restricted and limited time and steps. But it's not about us, because God did not create us for us. God created us for him. And be it that he is the creator of life, and be it that he is the one that sustains life, as well as he is the one that gives purpose to life. He has the final word and authority over all of our lives as to how many days we shall live. When we look at it from our perspective, we say, however, it's all unfair, because when we look at Nicholas' life and we see 11,195 days, he did not live very long. He had a whole life ahead of him. He had a great future ahead of him. He was able to do a lot of things. Why would God even take him from this earth at such an early age? Or why would he even allow his life to expire before certain things could even take place in his life? It's not up to us to question God as to the why. Even though I know for me, I know myself, I would love to figure it all out just as well. I would love to be able to go to God and say, God, please answer my questions. At least answer the questions the way I want to hear them. Not the way you want, God, the way I want. But God, I believe, leaves that calendar in eternity and never shares it with us. It's so that we will learn how to trust and depend on him. Because he is the one that has created us. He is the one that made us. And we are to live unto him and not to ourselves. You see, the psalmist, as I could read here, realized that he was fearfully and wonderfully made. Doesn't fall short of Nicholas. Fearfully and wonderfully made. He said he was formed, or that God formed him and he formed his inward parts while he was covered in his mother's womb. Sounds like Nicholas. That he was formed and developed in secret in his mother's womb. And it says that his frame was not hidden from you, or not hidden from you, God. He said, you skillfully wrought me in the lowest part of the earth. He said, your eyes saw my substance, and yet I was unformed. While he was in the womb, God knew everything and all things about him, and I also find that everything and all things about Nicholas, God already knew. God already knew that 11,195 days would be days that would be sufficient for the purpose.
All right.
Because you see, anything that God makes and creates is for purpose. He didn't just haphazardly develop Nicholas and say, okay, right, oh, wow, that's Nicholas. No, but God, by design, formed Nicholas in his mother's womb before his mother even knew him. In fact, before he even knew himself. His mother only knew that there was something in there that is kicking around and causing her to want peanut butter crackers and jelly with a Snicker bar at 3 o'clock in the morning. All she knew was that there's something in there that's causing discomfort and pain and agony. She can't get comfortable. She twists to the right and twists to the left, and there's so much discomfort. She says, get this thing out of me. And Kevin trying to comfort her and trying to make that 3 o'clock midnight run and go and get the hot sauce and barbecue chips and hit those cravings that she is now. Y'all get quiet here. Those cravings that she has, and he's trying to rub her feet and trying to comfort her and tell her, babe, it's going to be all right. And then, lo and behold, in the midnight hour or whenever that time came, and on November the 27th, comes forth the one that was formed from within. The one that was developed, the one that God had his hands upon, the one whom you come to know as a loving person, the one whom you come to know as being witty and being funny, the one that you know who thinks out of the box and thinks sometimes analytical and thinks about a life in a way that you perhaps didn't think about.
All right.
I'm talking about Nicholas Tom.
All right.
Nicholas was a unique person, whereas he did things that was somewhat different and went against the grain on
All right. All right.
of people.
Amen.
And you know him in different areas and aspects, and you have your inroad and your engagement with him to where you got to know him, and he knew you, and you enjoyed the company, and you enjoyed the relationship, and you enjoyed the friendship. But I want to believe that there's nobody in here that knows that Nicholas is very fast.
All right.
I had the privilege that as when he was a little boy, about 9 or 10 or 11 years of age, we were in class and he was in our school, and out of nowhere he just let out this big yell and ran through the door and ran across the field. And I didn't know what was going on, so I ran after him and I said, God, please tell this little boy to stop running.
He just took off.
I can't catch him. I can't catch him, please. And he started running around in circles and circles. And I'm trying to figure out why we run around in circles. So I stopped and tried to head him off. And then he darted the other direction. And I had to start running again. So finally he tripped over his shoes and then he fell and we had
He
conversations.
said, thank you, Jesus.
And I said, who taught you how to run so fast? And then he began to talk to me and he began to share with me and he started asking these questions about God and asking these questions about Christianity and questions, these spiritual questions. And that's not just typical for a little 10 or 11-year-old, but you got to understand that was who
Nicholas.
Nicholas was.
Amen. Amen.
And you know him from your perspective, and as he has made his impression upon you. But what you know about him is what God developed within him.
Amen.
And God formed him and uniquely shaped him so that he could be who he needed to be, so that he could fulfill his God-given purpose.
Amen.
The mere fact that you're here only lets you know that he fulfilled the purpose.
Amen.
Because you have been engaged with him and he made an inroad into your life. That's why you're here.
Amen.
You're here to celebrate his life, and you're here to appreciate and show your appreciation for what he has done in your life and to whatever level he could have made an impact on.
Amen.
And
Amen.
it is evident that he fulfilled his purpose.
Amen.
It's only that when he finishes the course and he finishes the race and he completes his mission,
Amen.
it's not up to him to say, I have finished, but it is God that says, I have completed the work.
Amen.
through Nicholas Tolliver. When the 11,195th day came is when God said, it's over. Not over in regards to your life. It's just over in regards to your purpose on earth. Now it's time to make a transition to eternity.
Amen.
Oh, y'all got quiet. Because you see, again, if it was left up to us, we would mark the calendar and giving him extra days. But you and I giving him extra days could possibly cause a greater detriment to him than you and I can ever imagine. You see, God always knows what's best. God always knows how long. God knows when the end should come. Because before there was the Nicholas, there was God. Before there was you, there was God. Before everything and anything was created, there was God. The thing is, we sometimes want to be God ourselves. We want to know everything. But God already knew 11,195 days is what it takes to fulfill the purpose. Just like you baking a cake. You know that on the box it said to add these ingredients. You mix them all up, you put it all together, and then you stick it in the oven for 30, 40, 45 minutes or so. And when the time has elapsed, then you pull the cake out and you let it sit for a few minutes and you say, now this cake is ready to eat. If you had let it stay any longer, you would have burned the cake.
All right.
If you stayed any longer, you would have been highly disappointed. If it had stayed any longer, it would have been nasty. What makes us think that God doesn't know how long? How long does it take for anyone to fulfill their purpose when God is given? How long does it take? We don't know, but God knows, and that's why he's created it to whereas we look to him, the author and finisher of our faith. Look to him, the one whom we should depend and trust upon, to rely upon, to depend upon, because he knows how long. He knows how much you can bear. He knows how much you can take. He knows how much you can endure. Even when you said, I've had it up to here, he yet still. And you said, this has gotten on my last nerve. He knows how many more nerves you really have. I'm here to tell you, God knows. He knows everything. He knows everything about you because when he formed you not when you came on your birthday. He formed you when you was in your mother's womb.
All right.
And he knew you and he developed you. Last thing is this, fulfilling the purpose. Because, when you look at life, we say that, it would have been good, it would have been nice if Nicholas had lived to be at least 70, 75, 80. Such a young man, such young, 30, 31 years of age. It seemed to be too young. And then the way he got out of here, the way that God handled business, the way that he transitioned from this earth to heaven or from time to eternity. I would have done things a little different. I would have used a different method. I would have used a different means to exit a call. I would have had a different exit plan. But let me tell you, the exit plan, the last act, doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of the story. And the last act doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad story, even though the end may have been different than your expectation. The story is still a good story. See, when I was a little boy, I used to, and perhaps some of you may have had this experience as a little kid, or maybe even now that you enjoyed the Charms blow pop. I like sour apple blow pop and watermelon blow pop, and the purpose of this blow pop is that not only are you licking or sucking on a sucker, but there is gum wrapped on the firstly appeared in a sucker. It was created back in 1968 or 69, and it took the market by a landslide because here is a lollipop that has bubble gum on the inside of it. Now, when you lick this or suck on this lollipop, this blow pop, it's good to the tongue. I mean, it makes your tongue just aerobicize. It gets you dancing your tongue just dancing all over your mouth.
Everybody's going to go get
It's
one.
good, and you just keep on licking and keep on sucking, and you turn it and twist it in your mouth, because you want the whole mouth to experience the good taste of this blow pop.
We should have passed them out.
And then you get to once you have finished the crystallized candy and you get to the bubble gum inside of that candy. Now you feel like you've gotten a reward because you're down to the chewing gum, the bubble gum. And so then you're starting to chew that bubble gum, you chew that bubble gum. Now, mind you that you have licked on this sucker for at least 30 minutes or so. But you have chewed on the bubble gum for only 5 minutes, and now you got to spit it out because it's now disappointment. Because the bubble gum wasn't what all it was cracked up to be. This bubble gum isn't the best thing for me. This bubble gum is tasting like some hard wax now. And you know, even though that bubble gum tastes like hard wax, it seemed like that bubble gum just didn't do it. You would think that would have been over, but you know what? You go back and buy another blow pop.
All right.
Because you enjoyed the
experience,
sucking and the
yes.
licking of that blow pop more so than the gum.
Hey, all right.
And so you enjoyed the lollipop. Well, here I'm telling you, Nicholas Tolliver had a life that you and I all enjoyed.
All right, yes.
We enjoyed it, and we may not like the fact that he has expired on this earth, and that he's no longer with us, and that he has made a transition from time to eternity, but that is not the last act that we are to focus on.
All right.
Focus on what beauty and grace and love and support and encouragement and wit and laughter and joy that he brought to your heart.
All right, amen.
That's the story in which we tell. That's the story in which we embrace. Not that he died, but that he lived.
Woo,
And that
yes.
he was the one that made an impact and an inroad in all of our lives. And that there was a good feeling, and we're so glad that he was around. And so glad that he was a part of my life. I'm so glad that I had the moment and the chance to meet him. I'm so glad that he was a part of my friendship. I'm so glad that he is on my resume of knowing a good friend. So it's not that he's too young, he just fulfilled his purpose.
Amen.
It doesn't take a long time for God to fulfill his purpose in the life of us. Because even his own son, he fulfilled his purpose, and he expired and died on this earth at the age of 33.
All right, amen.
He did not come here just to go on vacation and take a cruise around the world. But he came here on a mission to make an inroad and make a difference in the life of people.
Amen.
Jesus Christ came and he died on an old rugged cross at the age of 33. He died on the cross, and when he was dying in that hour, he said to everyone that was around, that was gathered around the cross, that could have very well said that it's a shame that he's dying at such a young age. It's a shame that he's dying at such a horrible death. But Jesus, in response to all of the critics that were standing around, all of the naysayers, and to everyone that was gathered and looking upon him, he didn't say, "Oh, woe is me," but he looked at his life and said, "It is finished." The very thing that I was purposed to do, the reason why I am here and a part of this life, is to give my life so that others may have life. And he said, "It is finished." They took him down from the cross and they placed him in a tomb. And he rose from the dead on the third day to let us know that heaven and earth, death has no more power, but he has power over the death and the grave. And he said, if anyone believes in me, shall not die, but live forevermore. He didn't mean that you weren't going to die physically, because we all are going to die physically. But he was talking about spiritually, to where when you die, this whole body drops to the earth. But the real you is on the inside of you. And that is the one who he's speaking to, that you would live forevermore. I wonder today, do you believe? I had the privilege of baptizing Nicholas at the young, tender age. He gave his life to Christ some time ago. I'm not certain as to how his path went and what took him wherever he went, but I know that the Lord was with him in life. He made a decision for Christ. Even though there may have been challenges to his life, there may have been some challenges that he didn't, some difficulties he didn't get to work through or didn't know how to work through. But it doesn't mean that God wasn't in his life.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
You will have trials and tribulations as long as you're in his life. If you're an electrician, you're going to get shot. If you're a plumber, you're going to get wet. If you live in his life, you're going to have trials and tribulations. But Jesus said, be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. So what used to be scary and what used to be doomsday, that is death itself, is now nothing more than just an exit door to get you to the other side. Because Jesus took care of the problem. Now it's death and the grave. So that's why we celebrate Nicholas' life. Because even though the corpse might be here in this metal box, Nicholas is in the presence of the Lord.
Amen.
Nicholas is dead. And I know he loves us all, but I know he's enjoying himself because there are no more struggles. There are no more difficulties. There are no more disappointments. There are no more heartaches. There's no more sickness. There's no more dying. He is forever with the Lord. He is with him having a peace that passes all his understanding, that will never run dry. Can you imagine having that kind of peace? Can you imagine having a life that don't have to pay bills? Can you imagine having life and not having any problems or worries? I'm going to tell you, that's what Nicholas got. Oh, I would love to be with Nicholas, but my purpose is not finished. I haven't finished. You haven't finished. Let us leave today. Let us leave today knowing that we're here with purpose. We're not here by accident. Regardless of what your mama or daddy or aunt or grandma told you, you're not here by accident or coincidence. You're not here by oops and uh-oh and I forgot. You're here with purpose. You're here. And the reason why you're still here, because God is not finished with you yet. It's not that I come to a close before I feel another sermon coming.
Y'all better go get him.
You're not here. You're not here as though God got to get heaven ready for you. As though you somebody. Heaven is already ready. It was ready before you got here. God doesn't have to get ready for you. He's enabling you to fulfill your purpose. Because it doesn't take a long time to get it together. God has a purpose and a plan. Nicholas Tolliver is the handiwork and the evidence of that. God bless you.
Well, I pray that the message was a blessing to you and that you were enlightened and encouraged and strengthened. And I pray that there was a message that was perhaps able to answer some of the questions that you may have. But continue to follow me. Just subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading messages as time goes on, and pray that you will be able to draw closer to God through these messages and be able to be strengthened in your faith. God bless, and stay tuned.
I pray